Football Show recapping week 2, talking buy low, start bench, trade talk, and Q&A. I should be here for a good hour talking fantasy football with you guys. So hit me with it. What are your week 2 thoughts? Let's do a week 2 recap. Talk about some guys that disappointed. Talk about some guys that we might want to trade because they disappointed. Talk about players that we might want to trade away because they did well, and so forth. You come in and drop the thumbs down. Really? I just started. What's up, Garrett? What have I possibly said that offends you so far? What's up, Daddy? Chris Conley on waivers is a major steal, says Seth. Well, let's get to it. We've got a lot to cover. We can start off with this Monday night game. I think Odell Beckham Jr. looked pretty solid. There were some scares here and there. Now the thumbs up roll in. Thank you. Odell Beckham Jr. dropping a pretty significant game on Fantasy Football Worlds in week 2. Baker touchdown maker was a Baker concussion maker, tossing that ball up real high for David Njoku, who suffered, I believe, a concussion in this one. Let's pull up the news and see what's what. So Landry pulled in 3 of his 7 targets for 32 yards. Typical Landry fashion, kind of disappointing, but capable. We had Luke Falk get into the lineup after Simeon was hurt, and he had 198 yards. It was scoreless in this one. Baker Mayfield, 19 for 35. Not super efficient at times, but did get going. 325, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. At least showed promise. They got the win. Their confidence came back. So I'm pretty excited about Baker. At least getting to that 300-yard mark, getting the long touchdown, kind of shaking loose some of the nerves and feeling of disappointment from week 1. Nick Chubb, 62 yards and a touchdown, caught all 4 of his targets for 36 yards. That's an important stat and figure to throw out there. 4 receptions, caught all of his targets, 36 yards, involved in the passing game. Not a bad outing for him. Of course, we'd love to see some 100-yard games, more yards per carry, but pretty darn good. And then Lev Bell, 21 times he toted the rock for 68 yards, caught all 10 of his targets, 10 receptions for 61 yards. Had a pretty good fantasy night, even though at first you're like 21 times for 68 yards. Come on, Lev Bell. But if you watch the game, Bell looked pretty darn good. And I'm pretty excited about Lev Bell this year, more so than I thought I would be. I think he looks good. They're utilizing him a lot. 10 receptions is a ton. And I liked how much they used him even with the QB carousel they had going on tonight. Other people in the news, so Trevor Siemian played this game because Darnold's out for, I believe it's going to be 2 weeks. Siemian left with an ankle injury, did not look good. And Njoku left with a concussion after Baker concussion maker tossed that ball up pretty darn high. Defender took his feet out, landed on his neck and head. Okay, let's get into some questions, and then I'm only going to answer a few, and then I want to get into the topics we have right in front of us here. And if your questions relate to those topics, I will be answering them. Real quickly, I will answer a few. Devonta Freeman is weak. What's up, Smitty? Smitty, should I trade Bell for Julio if you have Dalvin and you need a wide receiver? That's not a bad swap, so I don't think that's a bad move at all. I thought thoughts on A-Rod. Do we buy low? Absolutely buy low. I don't think you can sell. Yeah, you'd be selling low, and I don't like that. How will Le'Veon look versus the Patriots next week? I think what you saw out of Le'Veon Bell this week was that if they bottle him up, he's still very active in that come from behind mode where they're throwing the ball, doing a lot of dump passes to him. So I think in a worst case scenario, This guy gets you a ton of receptions and yards, and total yards, he gets to that like 100-yard mark with, 6-7 receptions, whatever, in a bad scenario that plays out badly for the team. If they're winning, I think they're running the ball. So I think either way, Lev Bell's kind of, almost negotiated into a sizable workload that's going to just be off balance, from week to week, whether it's going to be wide receiver heavy type work or running back heavy type work. But overall, 100 yards feels like Lev Bell material. Lev Bell historically is like in the 120s total yards per game every time he starts a game. So it makes sense that he's going to be over 100 yards, even if he's down from 120 to 100. That's his style. That's, he pulls in more receptions and yardage in the receiving game when he's struggling in the running game. He's just such a crafty fantasy player. Wow, what a weird first couple weeks. But Gallup for Emmanuel Sanders. Gallup's out for a little bit, so why not? Monty for Michael Thomas. I take Michael Thomas. Don't freak out too much about Drew Brees being out for a significant amount of time. 6 games, could be 8. Because Teddy Bridgewater will still feed him enough to get him in that top 5-ish to 7 range. Maybe he's not top 1 to 5. Maybe he's more like 4 to 7. Which, in the end, how many points is that really going to be? Will Brees return? So will you really be all out that many points when you look at it all? Sum total at the end of the year. So don't freak out about Mike Thomas. Don't freak out about Kamara. In fact, buy low on Alvin Kamara because Kamara might command only, 12 to 15 overall value. That people probably will freak out and have a knee-jerk reaction to Alvin Kamara and this situation with Drew Brees going out for 6 to 8 games. Trade T.Y. for Michael Thomas. I would take Michael Thomas. I like T.Y. I'm not saying T.Y. can't hang with MT, but I definitely make that trade. Frank Gore as a flex if Singletary can't go. There are probably better options that I can think of, but maybe not on your waiver wire, or maybe not on your team, so not a horrible idea. Help, I have AB and Edelman. Who do I trade? You trade the guy you can get a ton for. If 1 week I might say AB, and the next week I could see myself going, Edelman, come on, bro, because it changes from day to day. It changes from week to week. I still think there's a really good chance that if the shoe doesn't, another shoe is going to drop at some point. But if he escapes this one, there's already another accusation out there. Not saying that he's guilty, and a lot of people go after money. A lot of people ruin a lot of people's names after in such a situation where they're going after money. I'm not saying that there's merit to whatever the second accuser is claiming against AB, but he has a second accuser now. He has a track record lately of not being trustworthy. So what does the league do? And does he go off the rails because of all this? This is the pressure and the spotlight and the constant questions and his ability to get on social media at any time and screw all this up. It's too high a risk for me. So if you can sell high coming off of this week, I do it. And high being anything in like the top 12 to 14 overall. If you can buy a Mike Evans on the cheap for AB, I probably consider it. So let's get right into the buy low. If your question's relating to buy low, I will answer it. I want to keep some of these. I'm not trying to ignore you because I want to punish you or I'm mean or I don't like you. That's not what this is about when I pass over your question. I'm passing over it if it doesn't relate to the topics that we're talking about. So if you have a question, I'm sure it falls into one of these. Just wait until that topic comes up because I want to keep this show meaningful and organized, and in the timestamp put what time we're talking about what topic so it makes sense for people. So hold your questions for the topic right in front of you. We're talking buy low. If your question's related to buy low, toss it out. Guys, I'm looking to buy low heading into this week. I'm still buying low on Aaron Rodgers. I'm buying low on Juju, believe it or not. Let's do buy low, sell high, because I think both topics are important. You're not going to be able to sell Juju at the right price, Roger, in my opinion. So if you own him, depends what you can get. I'm buying low on Juju. I'm actually pretty excited about Rudolph getting in there because Ben's look bad. Hurt Ben, an old Ben, a washed up Ben is not better than a hungry Mason Rudolph, who I've talked about for over a year now. Being when someone asked me that question, and I think it was a couple times on a Instagram live, and I believe also on a YouTube live, someone said name a couple players that no one knows about, or even if they know who you're talking about, they don't think anything about this player, don't believe they'll ever be relevant. And a name that I often throw out there is Mason Rudolph. That if Ben Roethlisberger ever went down, Mason Rudolph would be a darn good QB replacement for that Pittsburgh Steelers offense. I think Mason Rudolph has the makings of a top, I don't know, I don't want to say like anything crazy, but I'd say borderline fantasy football starter within, a good year. He might take a little while to get there, but he might not. He looks pretty polished. He looked pretty good replacing Big Ben, and he's looked good in the preseason and when they've used him before. And I think he's very efficient. I think he's I think he's ready. He's learned a lot behind Big Ben. He has a lot of weapons, and I think he does really well for this team. And I think they need something. They need a shakeup. Let's be honest. Big Ben wasn't delivering. Juju's been failing. Connor's been hurt and failing. The offensive line doesn't look great. And Mason gets in there, connects with McDonald. Vance McDonald could be relevant now. He seems to connect well with Rudolph. So waiver wire time, guys. Pick up Mason. Pick up Mason if you're in a deep league. Pick up McDonald if you need a tight end. Maybe you lost your tight end. Maybe Njoku was your tight end. Jared, thanks for the advice last week. Ross outscores John Brown, but I still won. That's great. Mark has a super chat. That's the only thing. Super chats get me to answer your question no matter what you ask. From Mark, Carson or Fournette for Juju. I trade either of those guys for Juju in a heartbeat, and I think I'd rather have... God, these are two running backs that I can't stand, Mark. Sorry. I think I'd rather have Carson. Let's pull up the news. Didn't he fumble twice? You got to worry about that stuff. Let's pull up the news. Carson. And Chris Carson's been on my sell high because everyone's been so high on him. Sell him. 15 times for 61 yards. Caught all three of his targets for 27 yards in the Week 2 win. After losing a fumble in Week 1, Carson lost another 2 in this contest. Nearly tried to give the game away to Pittsburgh. His second fumble set up Pittsburgh deep in Seattle territory, and eventually an easy touchdown for Vance McDonald. Despite the fumbles, Carson was able to kill the clock and seal the win, but Penny was definitely involved after the fumble. So that's a concern. But Carson in Week 1 dropped 46 yards rushing, a touchdown, pulled in 6 receptions for 34 yards and another touchdown. In Week 2, he had only 3 receptions for 27 yards. I shouldn't say only, that's not bad. But 15 carries for 60 yards. Not horrible yards per carry, but not great. In Week 1, he was 3.1 yards a pop. In this one, 4.0. Let's take a look at Fournette. Again, both are guys that I'm not super high on. And I'd sell both of them, to be honest with you. 66 yards off 13 carries in Week 1 against KC. 5.1 yards a carry, not bad yards per carry. I worry more about the injury with this guy and the boneheaded decisions on and off the field and on the sideline. 4 receptions for 28 yards. He's getting receptions, at least, in this offense. 47 yards in Week 2, so 66 in Week 1, 47 in Week 2 on the ground, 3.1 a pop. Those rushes were 13 in Week 1, rushed the ball 15 times in Week 2. and then another 4 receptions for 40 yards. I'd have to say I still rather have Carson. So I'd trade either one for Juju. If he asks for one, I'd take Juju. Big Timer saying that Fournette played 95% of the snaps. So for him, it's a no-brainer. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's the other thing. Poopsie says Fournette will get hurt. That's my big fear. So Fournette. I'm combining the names, Carson and Fournette. Carnett. I'd trade Carnett. I'd trade both of them. But I think you're likely looking at Carson being replaced or getting hurt, or Fournette getting hurt, not replaced, but hurt, or suspended. Another super chat. Thanks for the super chat. Another super chat, David. Marlon Mack and DJ for Mixon and Ridley. Absolutely like Marlon Mack and DJ over Mixon and Ridley. First of all, I don't like Mixon at all. Mixon, Fournette, and Carson were complete avoids for me at almost any price I ever saw them at, draft-wise. And DJ, while he got banged up, came back. He's fine. Mack's playing pretty good. Has capable running back one written all over him when he's healthy. I like that duo a lot better. But I'm interested to see what you guys think. Tony with the super chat. Thank you for the super chat, by the way, David. Tony with the super chat. Smitty, you know what I said about Lamar Jackson, but obviously tell everyone to hold off on trying to trade him. Wait until he has a bad game. Trade for him. Yeah, so buy low, sell high. Tony, I did a video, I'm sure you've seen it, where I said oopsie on Lamar Jackson. I take accountability when I'm wrong. And after 2 games, I'm willing to say oopsie on me. And I should have given him more of a chance. I still worry that he's going to disappoint me. I'm not going to lie there. But I do think that from what I've seen in 2 games, I'm ready to say oopsie on me. This guy has potential to be a top 5 to 10 QB. Could be 5, could be 6, could be 7. All year long if he stays healthy. But like Tony said, trade for him if he has a bad game, and you get people like me who are like, wait a minute, maybe he's not going to be good, then they sell him off. But the good news is if people have Lamar, they likely have a very close option to him because you weren't drafting Lamar really high if you drafted him. So you might be able to squeeze out a trade with somebody that's like, I want to get something for both my QBs. I have Brady and Mahomes in a lot of leagues because Brady fell to double-digit rounds. He was my number 7 ranked QB going into 2019 drafts, and everybody had him at like 12, 15, undraftable. Not really sure why everybody was so down on Brady. I know he's older, but a lot of weapons there. Even before the AB, obviously before the AB signing, now he's in everybody's top 5 to 6, 7. But my point is, my tangent, is that I'm trying to get rid of one of those guys because I feel like there's too much decision making. Like, I'm not going to bench Mahomes, but I need to figure out a way to, because when I see Brady with a tasty matchup, I want to be like, damn it, I can't play him. So I'd rather trade him, and I have other backup options in a lot of those leagues because I tend to draft like 2 and 3 QBs when some people draft only 1, or they draft 1 and a really bad backup. So I go ahead and consider trading like Brady if you can, if you own him, or in this case, trade for Lamar. Maybe that guy that owns Lamar in your league has other options as well. 110 people in the room and only 28 thumbs up. What is up with that? Big Timer, what's up? All right, buy low, sell high. Let's get over to my sleeperu.com rankings. If you don't know about sleeperu.com, learn about it. It can help you win your league. Another super chat by Kills. Thank you for the super chat, Tony. As always, you're always very generous to the show. If you super chat, I stop what I'm doing and I answer your question, just so you know. We're on the topic of buy low and sell high, though. But even if you super chat, I can talk about whatever you ask. Dak Prescott and James Conner for Derek Carr and Lev Bell. I got Zeke, Dalvin Cook, Jalen Samuels, Devin Singletary. Should I trade Dak and Conner? So you're trading Prescott and Conner for Carr and Lev Bell. Who's your QB if you make this trade? If Carr would be your QB, I don't know that I love it, because I think I'm not a big fan of Connor. I like Bell a lot better. I think Connor's going to get hurt at some point. That's why I've avoided Connor at all costs. So I like the idea of you getting Bell over Connor. I don't like you getting rid of Dak for Carr. Carr's doing okay, but what other options do you have? LD really concerned about Evans. Are you concerned as well, Smitty? Chat. So I'm buying low on Mike Evans. I'm not selling low. I'm not selling medium. I'm holding on to him if I own him. I'm not selling at all, because you're not going to get near what you want. We're 2 weeks in. We've seen players go 4 weeks and 5 weeks of slumping in weeks 1, not just like in the middle of the year. We've seen players go total slump mode from weeks 1 to like 4, 5, 6, and then tear it up down the stretch and still finish right where they were going to be projected. So thanks for the super chat kills. Do need to know your QB situation though. I'm not sure if you responded. Still got Rodgers? Then dude, I go get Lev Bell. I like Dak Prescott, but I don't like Connor. I go get Lev Bell if I'm you. Super chat from Ruben. Thank you, Ruben. And thank you, Kills, for the super chat. What do you do with Josh Gordon? Stash. If you can trade him, trade him, but I doubt you're going to get anything close to what he's worth. So hold on to him and wait for Antonio Brown news to break, and then Gordon's right back where he was. And he could even do well even with AB there. So don't drop him. You could bench him depending on your options, but keep him. You take Mac and Moore in any format. Big Timer, I'm not sure. You're always answering questions. I appreciate it, Big Timer. You take care of people inside here for me. Adventures with the super chat. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ruben, too. Awesome show. Keep or drop Breeze and try to pick up Josh Allen on waiver claim. Would be dropping Devonta Freeman or Chris Thompson. I keep Breeze because he could be back in a week. I don't know. He could be out 6 to 8 weeks. But I keep him, I think, unless you just can't afford to. It seems like you probably can. What did Chris Thompson do this week? I honestly don't know. I can't remember what his stat line was. Let me find my news. Where's my news? I had a tab open here. Let's see what Chris Thompson did. Thompson. Thanks for the thumbs up, guys. It really helps the channel. Helps people know that we're here. YouTube feeds it to more people when you guys hit the thumbs up. It really does help a ton. So I appreciate it. Chris Thompson rushed 2 times for 3 yards and added 5 receptions for 48. That's what Thompson does, is like a couple rushes, 30 yards rushing, 20 yards rushing, and then 50, 60, 40 receptions, maybe a touchdown. Freeman looked like he was getting work. I probably drop Breeze and pick up Allen, and I don't think I drop either of those running backs unless you can afford it and you're never going to use them anyways. If you're literally never, you envision never using Thompson, then I would cut Thompson and keep Breeze. Because I imagine you need a quarterback more than you need that backup running back. But if I'm wrong, then do the opposite. Okay, so back over, unless we get a super chat, back over to the rankings where I'm going to talk about who to buy low and who to sell high, or sell even medium if I'm worried about him. Do we talk about Baker yet? No. I'll say this. I'm tempted to buy low on Baker if you're in a bad QB situation. So I won't say that I'm feeling great about Baker right now. I feel good. I like that he got his confidence back with this win. I like that he connected on a really long tee. That does wonders for your confidence. Connected very, very well with Odell tonight. So if you're in a situation where you lost Breeze, you lost Luck, you're in that kind of situation, go get Baker on the cheap from the guy that's probably freaking out a little bit still about him. And he might own a QB like Lamar and be willing to part with Baker. So thanks, Adventures, again for your... Oh, another super chat from Adventures. Ingram, Fournette, and Breida are my other running backs. Then you probably can't get rid of those running backs because it looks like you could on occasion use them. So I would probably cut Breeze and pick up Allen. Allen's pretty good right now. And who knows how healthy Breeze will be right away when he comes back. Big TD from Odell is correct. Watson or Baker. We'll get into trade talk later, but Watson by a lot right now. I loved Baker heading into the year, but Watson was right there. Watson's clearly ahead of him at this point. You got to adapt and adjust. Still like Baker to be a sneaky top 5 QB in 2019, at least from this point on. I don't know if week 1 and week 2 will hurt him into, in terms of finishing in the top 5, but very capable of being a top 5 from here moving forward. But Watson might be number 2 for me. A-Rod A-Rod and Watson are like fighting for second. Mahomes is like up here. Wilson or Baker week 3. Let's get into that next. Start bench questions, okay? Let's keep on track. Buy lows. Let's go through the positions. QB. You can't buy Pat Mahomes even if you try. Let's be honest. The time for owning him was on draft day when he was sitting at bargain value, and anybody that passed on him because they didn't want to take a QB early is unfortunately going, why did I do this? I just saw Mahomes tear it up and score 50 TDs in 2018. Why did I pass on this guy? Don't sell high. Ride it out. Buy low on Deshaun Watson after last week. I think somebody would definitely consider trading him when they probably wouldn't have coming out of week 1. I love Deshaun Watson. If you've got to give up let's say you have an AB. Let's say you're worried as hell about Antonio Brown. You have him. You're like, damn, I don't know what I'm sitting on. Should I trade him now before I lose all value in some crazy report that comes out tomorrow? Another shoe will drop with Antonio Brown. The best way to use a player like that people are afraid to acquire, they want him. It's almost like Antonio Brown's like, have you ever tried to sell something on Craigslist or on OfferUp or something? You're like, I want to sell this, and you can't get anybody to buy it. But if you were looking for it, it would be going for like almost the same price as brand new, and you'd be like, what the hell? How come I can't find that when I want to buy it, and how come I can't sell it when I have it? That's what it feels like with some players. And I think, you got to be careful with those type of players, and you don't just want to sell low. So Deshaun Watson, he's probably hard to acquire, but he's probably also hard to trade. But go after him, and I love in a deal where maybe you have like a Matt Ryan and an Antonio. Oh, so the reason I gave up that, my tangents sometimes get the better of me. The reason I brought up the analogy of Craigslist or OfferUp was that Antonio Brown's like that more than anybody, not necessarily Deshaun Watson. Watson could be, but Antonio Brown's a guy that like would be really hard to acquire because somebody would want to sell him as a top 5 wide receiver. But if you owned Antonio Brown, you probably couldn't sell him for a top 8 to 10 wide receiver. So it's like this like middle area where there's like a gap in thinking that it's like a false sense of value on both sides of that fence. But if you a crazy creative way to get rid of Antonio Brown is to trade, like, let's say you have a Goff or a Cam Newton or a trying to think of a keeper, even Josh Allen, like somebody good, Winston, Josh Allen, Rivers, Stafford, Matt Ryan. You could trade Antonio Brown with that player to get a Mahomes. Do it. To get a Watson, I probably consider it because I love Watson. I think Watson like Mahomes, Watson like Aaron Rodgers. These 3 QBs are, Mayfield's not even there right now. I'm not going to include Mayfield. I think Mayfield could be top 5, but it's Mahomes, Rodgers, and Watson. You own one of these 3 QBs. They're 40 TD capable. They carry you. When you have a bad week, you may still win because of these quarterbacks. If you have a good week and then they do well, you dominate. Owning one of Watson, Mahomes, and Aaron Rodgers should be your goal in the buy low and sell high. area of week 3 for you. Like when you're in that mode of trying to buy low and sell high, these guys need to be at the front of your mind. These 3 QBs. Not really. You could sell Lamar Jackson high. I'd consider it. If you can get a Watson for Lamar, even if you've got to give up a little. Some people might rather have Lamar, so maybe offer it straight up. But I'd still rather have Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, and Patrick Mahomes, obviously, well above Lamar. And I'd give up a little bit for sure to get that done. So that's a sell high. Dak Prescott, whether you love him or not, whether you think he's going to continue or not, he's at an all-time high. Try and sell Dak Prescott on the high, especially given if you own him, you probably drafted a QB ahead of him, or at least a QB right around his value to safeguard yourself if he didn't end up being really, really good. Thank you for the thumbs up. So I think Dak Prescott's a great sell high because you probably have a comparable QB already on your roster, or sell Dak Prescott and an Antonio Brown for a Watson. I'd do that. I know some people wouldn't. I know some people love Dak that much, and Dak's playing great, playing out of his mind. But we're seeing Dak Prescott score without Zeke being used a ton. When Zeke becomes the Zeke we know he'll eventually be for a majority of the year, then Dak's production will be almost shifted over, some of it, to Zeke Elliott. So don't be surprised if Dak is playing a lot better than he's going to play soon. Would you try selling Mark Andrews high? I would, if you can get good value for him. I'm starting to believe that this guy is legit, and you can almost say that that's another oopsie of mine, because I didn't really feel Andrews was going to be playing at the level he's playing. And if you own him, ride the wave if you can't get a ton. Demarcus Robinson. We'll get into that when we go into start bench. We'll change trade talk to waiver wire, because we're kind of talking about trading in this buy low, sell high. Elliott, go buy low. Alvin Kamara, go buy low. I'm not asking you to go buy him at top 3 or 4 overall value, which you paid on draft day if you drafted him. I'm asking you to go buy low. Buy at a value that you're protected into, that even if he doesn't score as many TDs, he's probably going to earn that value anyways. So if you can trade, I don't know, a Julio Jones for Alvin Kamara, I do that. If you can trade like a wide receiver in that range, I would do that. Anybody you would draft right now in a draft in the like 8 to 15 range, I would do that. You could probably package like a Godwin and another running back like Fournette and get Alvin Kamara. And some people might not do that, and that's fine. Trust your gut. But me, I take that all day long. I bet on Alvin Kamara after 2 weeks of play. And know this, that I understand Drew Brees going down doesn't feel ideal. And there's a good chance that Alvin Kamara isn't put in a scoring position as often. Totally true. I think that's going to prove to be true. But Bridgewater and Hill, depending on how they play this or who they use, these guys, even together, are efficient enough to move the ball down the field to a degree that Kamara's still going to get a lot of opportunities. And on top of that, not having Brees might have this offense focusing back in the direction of run heavy, grinding it out between the tackles, lining up Kamara all over the field, utilizing both of their QBs now. Hill is a very dynamic player to have on that field, and it confuses defenses, and he makes it really tough to game plan around other players. When Hill is on the field, whether it's lined up at quarterback, whether it's out in the flat, whether it's at wide receiver, defenses don't know what to do, and they have to worry about him. This might be a very sneaky team in the coming weeks when people are predicting a huge, huge, huge decline and a bunch of losses for the Saints moving forward. We might see that amazing story how The Saints lost Drew Brees, but ended up playing better and finding a way to win, finding a way to get the ball to Kamara in ways they weren't doing in weeks 1 and 2. I love Kamara, and I'd go get him. Do I like Barkley more at this point? Yeah. Do I like Zeke Elliott more? Yeah. Do I like Dalvin Cook more? Yes. But we love Dalvin Cook anyways. He was number 5 overall, really, for us, most of us here in the live chat right now, right, guys? Dalvin Cook has been in the top 5 or 6 overall for months. Heading into the draft, he was my number 5. Everyone said DJ, I said Dalvin Cook. That is a nailed it moment right there. I might have some oopsies on my plate already, but no, Dalvin Cook will not be one of them. So do I like Dalvin Cook more than Kamara? Absolutely. But Kamara is still a top 5 to 7 overall pick to me, and I'd gladly pay, and I for sure will try to pay, but I'd gladly pay value below that because I think you're protected into this disappointing version of Alvin Kamara that's supposed to hit the field now. Everybody's so convinced that he's going to just drop off. Trading for him at 7 to 10 overall value, equivalent in a trade to if you drafted him right now, that's going to earn you a player that's going to be protected and safeguarded into production that you'll get your value back on your investment. Elijah says, Dalvin Cook, baby, been on the train, Smitty. Well, you and all of us here have Dalvin Cook. Nice. You traded away Monty too soon, bro. Who traded Monty? I'm trying to look. Come on, hit that like, says Big Timer. Oh, here's the trade by Mood. Mood, what'd you do? Traded away Monty and Breda for Diggs and Marlon Mack. Am I screwed? My running backs are Chubb, Drake. I don't think that's a horrible move, to be honest, Mood. And I'm a big Monty believer, but Mac's still really good. And let's pull up Mac right now, unless there's something I haven't seen today on Mac. Sometimes I'm doing videos so much I'm behind on a piece of news that slips past me. Mac, 51 yards on 20 carries. I know he didn't have a great week, too. He's a bounce-back candidate against the Falcons after his monster 174 yards and 1 touchdown on the ground. But weird stat, not 1 target in the receiving game in week 1. That's kind of odd for Mac. But he had 51 rushing yards in week 2. 2.6 a carry is horrible. Targeted 3 times, 2 receptions for 12. He's hard to count on, I'll give you that. But I think that, that's not a horrible move. Because Breda, I'm not a big fan of. I think Mostert will probably end up getting a bulk of the carries in week 3, and we'll see what happens and what unfolds from that point forward. But Diggs is not bad. It's hard to count on. Mac's hard to count on. But Monty right now is, even as hard as it is for me to say this, is hard to count on right now. But I think, Mood, this has an equal chance of making you regret it big time if Montgomery gets used like I hope they use him. But because of that coaching staff and how they've been operating using him, there's a little bit of risk that they don't know what they have and they could wait a while. I hope to God that's not the case. Mood, I hate to say this, Mood, because you're an avid super chatter. I love having you here in the community, so I don't want to drive you away. But I'm rooting for David Montgomery on this side of the trade, buddy. Don't hold it against me. I've wore that on my sleeve for a while, so I think I get a pass on rooting against your trade. But I will say, as of right now, it's even. So don't be hard on yourself yet. You have Tevin Coleman on the bench. I'm not a big fan of him moving forward. At one point in the offseason, I started to get excited about him, but I'm not thinking Coleman does much. All right, back to buy lows, and then we'll get on to the next topic, start and bench, which I know you guys are dying to talk about. Say goodbye to buying low on Dalvin Cook ever again. Buy low on Zeke. Buy low on Kamara or McCaffrey. So buy low on Kamara. McCaffrey, why is everybody forgetting how good he was in week 1, talking about how McCaffrey's going to fall apart. Try and buy this guy low. Odds are the person that is owns McCaffrey isn't going to trade him low. But man, you get on Instagram or in the comments of a video of mine or wherever, and someone starts talking about McCaffrey, and it's like, bro, he's going to bust. I can't believe McCaffrey, blah, blah, blah. There's a specific analyst on Instagram, we won't say his name, who was laughing about McCaffrey as if that one game was proving that he was not going to do well or something. McCaffrey's going to be fine, and I think you should buy low. So it's weird that we have Kamara, McCaffrey, and Zeke. Literally my top 3 overall players heading into 2019 drafts are potential buy lows. Maybe not, steal them away, highway robbery type of steal, but Kamara, McCaffrey, and Zeke can all be bought low right now. I'll be bought low right now. Boughten low. Take a lap, Smitty. Speak English. Montgomery a bust. Brett, I hope you're wrong. Brett, I hope you have to take a big lap on that oopsie comment you just made. I hope. Anything can happen, Brett. And I appreciate your boldness tossing that out here. But I hope you're wrong. C-Mac. Mizzle with the sizzle, says Blue. Elijah's crying. Elijah, I hope you're okay. The expert in the house. What's up, expert? Glad you're in here. Hit the thumbs up while you're in here, expert. We have 208 people watching and only 73 thumbs up. It's crazy. Who would you trade Connor for? I trade Connor for, let me pull up a list here. I trade Connor for Bell, Chubb, Derrick Henry, David Johnson, obviously. Everybody above those guys, obviously. I might consider Aaron Jones, dude, at this point. But wide receivers, Hopkins, Adams. Mike Thomas is a great buy low right now in that scenario. Go trade him for Mike Thomas. Connor might be able to be traded for Mike Thomas, but he's banged up right now. News is that he should play week 3, so you might get some momentum back to trade him, not high, but at least at a Mike Thomas level. If you can't sell Connor high, which is going to be tough at this point, given that he was a scare for people already. Entering week 3, he's scaring people, which is something that I've been talking about for a while because it's Samuels and Snell for me. It's no James Conner. But other people are probably getting on board with that because they're worried, and I don't blame them. So in order to trade a guy like Connor, you have to trade for another doubted guy, but a guy you believe will rebound. So Mike Thomas is the perfect example of a trade Connor for this guy. Buy low on Montgomery. Buy low on Nick Chubb because he had a touchdown, but he still felt a little disappointing, I'm sure, to his owners. His owners are probably freaking out. I already said buy low on Love Bell. Sell Joe Mixon. It's always sell Joe Mixon. I should just have that on a recording here, that when I want to take a drink and I don't want to speak, I could just hit the button and say, sell Joe Mixon. Sell Joe Mixon. Sell Carson. That's another one. Aaron Jones. I like Aaron Jones, but you might want to consider selling him. AB for Monty. That's a decent one, bro. That might seem like you're giving up too much in AB, but wait, one news cycle tomorrow, and it might be a steal. Super chat from Riff, thank you. 2-0 in my league, thanks to Smitty. Now that's a testimonial I like. There's only one testimonial that beats that, Riff, and it was, what was it? Someone said, what was the testimonial? Oh, my wife woke me up and said I kept saying Devin Singletary in my sleep. Thank you, Smitty, for, whatever, making me draft him. That's probably the best testimonial I've got all year. But, Riff, yours is pretty good. And thank you for the super chat, my friend. If you have a question, ask me. Should I sell low on Mixon? Depends on what you mean low. But I sell Mixon, but the window might have closed to sell Mixon because he's been a big sell for me for a long time. Josh Jacobs and AB for CMC. Yes, I take CMC. It's arguable for sure, but I take the for sure thing. I build around that. Thoughts on Watkins this week? I think he bounces back. Selling DJ Moore. Yeah, so let's get back to the buy low, sell high. Then we get into the start bench, and then it's all basically questions from you guys. So segment 2 will be all you. Sell Joe Mixon, sell James Conner, sell Chris Carson, look to sell Mac, look to buy Mac. There are guys that toe that line where I like selling them and I like buying them. It's not wishy-washy. It's not going back on your thinking. It's that there's a line in the sand where I trade for a guy or I trade away a guy, and sometimes that line is right down the middle. Buy Aaron Jones if you can. Sell Gurley if you can. Sell Austin Eckler at a high price if you can. Buy Melvin Gordon low if you can. Go pick up Darwin Thompson or trade for him on the cheap if you can. All right, wide receivers. Mike Thomas, go get him. Juju, go get him. Odell, that window closed at least for a while. If he struggles for a game, people might potentially look. Doobie's in the house. What's up, Doobie? Loving the show, Smitty. Thanks, Doobie. Doobie's a long time sleeper. You Patreon. Thank you, Doobie. Juju, Mike Thomas, in my top 5 wide receivers in my top 5 coming into 2019 are really good buy lows. Mike Evans is a good buy low. He was in my top 7. So 3 wide receivers in the top 7 are very, very good buy lows. Tyreek Hill, if you can afford to wait on him, go take a little nibble on some Tyreek Hill shares and see if somebody's willing to release them to you at a low, low price. Adam Thielen. Go try and get Adam Thielen from the owner, because he in your league probably, the guy that owns Thielen's probably thinking, man, this team's not going to throw. And he might be right, but guess what? Thielen is still Kirk Cousins' favorite guy. So if Thielen's going to throw 3 times and that's it, there's a really good chance that Thielen's going to have 2 or 3 receptions. So I feel like he's kind of protected in the productive state of that offense, that he will get 40 to 60 yards and a really good chance at a TD. Whose ESPN app glitched? I don't know what you mean, Steven. Buy low, sell Cooper high. Amari Cooper. Not saying he's a bust. I'm just saying try and sell him high. Calvin Ridley. I don't know that I'd sell Calvin Ridley high because I love Calvin Ridley. He finally did awesome. And I'm excited about his season. I think he's going to be a monster. Godwin, I sell high. I like Godwin a lot, but he's going to be at an all-time high. Why? Because I get to test the temperature of all of your guys' thinking. Why? Because at sleeperu.com, I have an Ask Smitty feature, and I get emailed questions all day long. Sometimes I have like 100 questions. It's crazy. And I answer these questions. It's a part of the subscription. If you don't have sleeperu.com, get on over to SLEEPER, the letter U.com, and get your subscription, because you get one-on-one advice included. And the question I've been getting a lot is, hey, would you trade Mike Evans for Godwin? Or, hey, should I bench Evans this week because I have both wide receivers? Should I start Godwin? My point being, not that Godwin can't be that good, but everyone and their mother is thinking that Godwin has this value that Mike Evans, I think, should be handed by default. We're 2 weeks into the season, and we have people saying that Mike Evans is, worth a third or fourth or whatever? No. Joseph says, buy Sleeper U memberships and championships. That's a great, hold on, Joseph, is that good? Can you guys see me? Good. I'm glad you can't, because this testimonial's better than my face. Let's put that right here. This camera always screws with me. I'm going to look over Joseph's comment. All right, let me look over at my rankings. Oh, I got a super chat, Joseph. Sorry. Your testimonial rocks, though. Thank you, kind sir. All right, where am I at? Austin with the super chat. He gets to interrupt what we're doing. Love the avatar, by the way. Trade Carry-On for Aaron Jones. I do. You might not. You might even wait a week to kind of see how Aaron. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I'm going back and forth as I'm answering you. I haven't even finished my sentence and put a period at the end of my sentence, and I'm already feeling a little wishy-washy on this one. What do you guys think? I need some help from you guys in the chat. Carry-On or Aaron Jones? I think we're going to be split, but I kind of feel like Aaron Jones might be the better play here. He's failed us before. I'm worried about Aaron Jones failing again, but Carry-On, I don't know what it is about Carry-On that I don't quite trust yet. I'm not saying he can't earn my trust, but I just feel a little worried about him. So Austin, let's see what other people say. I'm going to lean Aaron Jones, but I'm curious to know what other people say. Riff dropping the super again. Can you answer my last comment? I'm struggling. Sure, Riff. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. Riff. Where's Riffy? Where's Riffy boy? Is this one? Riff, is this it? Let me know if this is the one, Riff. Who should my two receivers plus flex be? Keenan Allen, Diggs, Golladay, Godwin, Aaron Jones, Mac. Damn it, Riff. You have like literally the same player stamped out over and over. Like, how do you get this call right even one time in your 16 weeks? I don't know that you can. This is like crazy lottery type stuff. The odds of you landing the top three, they could put odds on this in Vegas. Like, how are you going to win this each time? All my questions today, Smitty responded in a matter of minutes. Well worth the price. The forums are non-toxic, says Doobie. Sorry, Riff. I'm going to say that you lock in Allen, Keenan Allen. I'm going to say that you lock in Godwin for now. Not that this couldn't change week to week. So circle back, Riff, for a updated answer, because things change quickly in this league. Very quickly. I'm going to say Diggs is too inconsistent in an offense that isn't throwing a ton. And if they throw, it's probably to Thielen. Because, like I said, if Cousins throws only 3 times a game, two of them are going to Thielen. If not 2.5. Golladay looks beast-like right now. So if it's PPR... If it's PPR, I lean Golladay for the moment. But I do preface that Aaron Jones or Marlon Mack could make me feel regretful in week 3. But I'm feeling like Golladay. Let's look at the matchups for week 3 as well, though, real quickly, just to make sure I'm remembering them correctly. Because for me, coming out of week 2, sometimes my mind is so cluttered with, I'm in week 2, I'm looking at week 3, I'm looking at week 3 rankings while week 2 is still going on. And occasionally I have like this lapse and, okay, what the hell is the schedule? So the Lions are at Philly. I like that for Golladay because I think Stafford's going to be airing it out in the 3rd and 4th quarter. Mac is playing at home against the Falcons. I like that. Damn it. And then Godwin we locked in. Aaron Jones is at home against Denver. And I kind of like that. So these matchups are pretty crazy. Mark says, let's see what Mark says. Mark says, Keenan Allen, Godwin, Aaron Jones is your choice. So we're in agreement, Mark, that Keenan Allen and Godwin are locked in. You say Aaron Jones. I'm kind of leaning Golladay, but I really want to say Aaron Jones. Joseph says Jones, Mac, safety, Jones, upside. I like the way Poopy's dropping that. Drop it, Poop. Man, Golladay, 1 game. You've done it. You've convinced me. Here you go. Riff, go Aaron Jones. Let's ride that train and hope that he drops a big... Damn it. Now Big Timer's making me rethink it. Let's look at Galladay's game. What did Golladay do week 1? He had a huge week 2. He just looked like a beast. Kenny Golladay in week 1. I'm blanking out on what his stat line was. I just want to see what Stafford... Yeah, he still fed him. I mean, he's got 2 TDs, so 9 targets is what I was looking for in week 1. 10 targets in week 2. 42 yards and a touchdown in week 1. So, good game. 9 targets, only 4 receptions. So, obviously didn't pull in everything going his way, but that's Stafford. But Philadelphia, I think they're going to be throwing a lot. 10 targets, 9 targets. I go Golladay. 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 Aaron Jones I like, but you're going Golladay, bro. You've got to. Smash that like, as the kids say. 4 for 41 and 1. Yep, I checked. Buy low on Devonta Freeman. I don't know, man. I think I buy at like ham sandwich prices, but I don't know that I'm buying. I don't think I could buy low. I'd have to buy free or buy really cheap. I had some hope that Freeman was going to come out and prove people wrong. I buy low, but it better be damn low. Do you think I should sell Dak high? Absolutely, especially if you have Lamar. Sell one of those QBs. Even if you have to sell Lamar and start Dak, make a move that improves your starting lineup, because you're doing yourselves no favors going, do I start Lamar or do I start Dak from week to week? And you're probably not sitting Lamar, so you're probably just wasting Dak away. And when Dak outperforms Lamar, you're going to be pissed off. Does Hawk have long season value? Yes, he does. Let's get back to the questions, or the buy low, sell high. You guys are you're so good at getting me on a tangent. I don't even notice. Tyreek Hill, Thielen, Sammy Watkins. Don't sell Calvin Ridley. Just ride this wave. It's not going to crash anytime soon, I don't think. Even if there's some ups and downs, I love Ridley. If Matt Ryan went down, then we'd be worried. Not going to happen, but sell high on Hollywood, Marquise Hollywood Brown. Sell high on Boyd, but it better be high. Don't sell even like at fair value. Like, sell high or don't sell at all. But he had a big game. Lockett, I sell high. And a lot of people hate that I say that, because it's like, if you don't have Lockett, you just don't comment. You're like, whatever. He's talking about Lockett right now. I'm going to continue eating my steak. Or my In-N-Out. Steak sounds good right now. So does a pizza. I'm tempted to leave the studio to go get a pizza, but I'm not going to. I'm going to have reserve and control of myself. Cooper Kupp, I sell high. I wish he would have got that touchdown. They called him down at the 1 because that touchdown would have inflated his stats big time, and you could have sold him for anything. Cooper Kupp. And then buy low on Josh Gordon if it's really cheap. Tyrell Williams, I'm not sure whether I buy low or just hold the guy, because he looks really good and he's the number 1 wide receiver there. John Brown, I look to sell high. John Ross, I look to sell high. He could still keep doing it, but I definitely think I'd sell high. Ertz, I might sell high if you can. OJ Howard, who's that? And Njoku's hurt, so damn. Waller, I look to sell high. If you have Waller, you probably have another tight end like Kittle. So, sell high. If you have Andrews, you probably have another tight end like Kittle. If so, sell high. Or sell Kittle. That concludes the buy low, sell high portion of the show. And now we get into your questions. If you've already asked a question, please ask it again, because I am going to start from the bottom so I'm relevant with the comments that are rolling in. If you have a start bench question, ask it now. Let's go and get to it. DK Metcalf or Mark Ingram in my flex spot, says CJ. I'm going to roll with Mark Ingram, my friend. But you wouldn't be crazy to go either. What do you do with Mixon? You look in the mirror and you say, why didn't I listen to Smitty, and why did I draft Mixon, Joe? But try and sell him high. I don't know. Blue says Ross is one of the best sell highs. Sand, I agree about Hollywood. 13 targets is attractive. Devin Smith, a start this week against Miami if Gallup is out. Could be. Not bad. Smitty, what do I do with Miles Sanders? My other running backs are Cook, Kerryon, Montgomery, Murray. Should I drop him? By the way, now that Breeze will miss nearly half of the year. Should I drop who? Sanders? Maybe clarify that question. I know it's late, but for some reason it's not computing with me. Should I drop him, by the way, now that Breeze... you're talking about Lat Murray. That's what you're doing. Okay. What to do with Sanders? Try and sell Sanders once he gets going. Don't try and sell Sanders now. You won't be able to. If he has a big game, I sell him because that Philadelphia Eagles coaching staff loves to use multiple running backs. So for me, it's a sell moment. The first shot you get, you sell that guy off, in my opinion. Should you drop John Brown for Hardman or Robinson? No, John Brown's good. He's a number one. I try and pick up maybe one of those guys if you're in a deep league, but I think you got to stick with Brown. Not saying don't get Robinson, not saying don't start him if you pick him up, but Robinson's hard to bank on. Brown did good too. Brown had an amazing week 1, so Brown's like not in a lesser situation or lesser upside than Marcus Robinson. DeMarcus. Who should I start? Kamara, Bell, Jones, or Carson? First of all, Hunter, I don't know if you're new here. This is tough love, but take a lap for asking me if you should start Kamara. I don't care if Drew Brees went down. He is a top 5 to 7 overall player, and you don't sit Alvin Kamara. So take a lap around your home. You can do it around your kitchen if you live in a bad neighborhood and you don't want to leave for the moment. But you definitely need to take a lap somewhere. And welcome to the show. Damn glad to have you. Hope that wasn't confusing to get yelled at and patted on the back. Pat on the back for owning those options. So good GMing, my friend. Mark, 199 super chat. Singletary for McLaurin. Lap, LOL. Let me say this. As big of a fan as I am of Singletary, I do like McLaurin, but I don't trade Singletary, not yet. McLaurin needs to prove a lot before he can earn that kind of value, but I do like both, so I don't know if I'm going to tell you to take a lap because you're super chatting, and when you super chat, you typically are immune from taking laps. Even if you super chatted me and said, should I drop David Montgomery right now, I would say your friend needs to take a lap for you. But I think Singletary, just wait on him, man. You're going to be so mad at yourself. I like McLaurin, but you're going to be so mad at yourself if Singletary evolves into this machine. And if you're wrong, if you let's say he stays hurt, can't stay healthy, whatever, you took a gamble on a guy that had a ton of upside in Singletary. Drop John Brown for Emmanuel Sanders. That's a tough one. My initial reaction is like, no way, but Sanders is playing pretty good. I don't know how that guy's a freak, physical freak, to come back from injury the way he has. But I think it's close. It's arguable. I like Brown a little better, but dude, I couldn't fault anybody for drafting Sanders. We need one more like. We're at 99 likes. Hit one more. If you haven't punched it, punch it. 222 in the room. We need at least 100 likes. Come on. Super chat from Adventures again. Start Fournette, Ingram, Breda, Freeman. How many am I picking here, Adventures? Because you didn't tell me a requirement here, but I'd say in order. This will help you and answer your question anyways. I start Ingram for sure over all of them. I probably start Fournette, even though I don't like him, but he's guaranteed touches. And then if you need a third, I'm assuming it's Devonta Freeman, but I'll answer it as if it's both. If it's Devonta, I start him as the third player. If it's Royce Freeman, I probably still consider it depending on what the news says heading into this week, because they did use him a little bit. So you kind of are news dependent on your third spot. But if you only start 2, it's Ingram, then Fournette, pretty locked in. Corey, I liked for answering my question. LOL. Thank you, Corey. Big timer, it's true. I have Connor, Henry, Carson. What do I do with my running backs? Henry, you keep and start. Connor and Carson, you potentially trade at any moment if you can sell high. Big timer with the super chat. Thank you, sir. Thanks for all your hard work, Smitty. Thank you, big timer. You the man. You've got to be obviously a New York Yankees fan. I'm not a big baseball guy. Isn't the World Series, is it going on right now? I'm so immersed in football, like I don't even know. Like I know we're kind of close. If think we're in the World Series, right? Who's playing, big timer? Watkins or D. Robinson for the start. I'd go with Watkins, man. He's the number one there. I'm not saying that we won't all be like, damn it, again, if we see Robinson go off and you're forced to make one start or the other. Starting both doesn't feel that crazy, but probably will leave you hanging at one spot. I doubt you'll blow up with both of them, but Watkins feels like the safer play. First timer, probably a dumb question, but who would you take, Hardman as your super flex over Winston? I think anything can happen, Jacob. So I normally would say you have to start the QB, but the way things have been going and the way things usually go in fantasy football is the moment I say you have to, oh my God, like you got to start the QB, that Hardman goes out and has 3 TDs. And Mahomes could rotate who gets fed a ton on a weekly basis. He's not hurting without Hill. When Tyreek Hill was going to get suspended, everyone was like, oh my God, you got to drop him. And I'm like, no, they're going to spread the ball around. The only reason Hill does so well, and he's great, he's a good player, amazing player, is that, he stands out a little bit to Mahomes, and Mahomes feeds him. But if Mahomes didn't have to feed him, or he couldn't feed him because he's hurt or suspended or whatever, Mahomes is just going to figure out a way to make somebody else a star. Aaron Rodgers does that. Devontae Adams is a good player. He might have become elite to where if he went anywhere else, Devontae Adams would still be amazing. But before Aaron Rodgers made him into the player he is. There are a lot of QBs that do that. And Mahomes is going to make somebody a star on a weekly basis. Maybe multiple players, but I think right now you got to go Winston. It's a QB potential spot, that super flex. You almost always have to go QB the way that QB score over other players. So Goff away or Baker at home. What's the matchup? I have to look because, as I said, I'm still like in week 2 mode in my mind. They're playing each other Sunday night. I like that. I think I go. God, I hope I don't regret saying this. I think I go Goff, and I'm just in a wait and see mode with Baker. I still feel like he can really be a top 5 guy, but I feel like the safer play would be Goff at the Browns. But you would not be crazy to start Baker. You wouldn't be crazy to go either one in that scenario. That's a pretty close one. Goff has the potential to hang with anybody within that like 3 to 5 range. Goff is. Sorry guys, I don't know if you're still there. Are you guys still there? I think we had like a little bit of a internet outage. So KC versus Baltimore, such a show that will be fire. KC versus Baltimore. It should be pretty good. Isn't that weird? We didn't really, I didn't really expect Baltimore to be scoring at the level they're scoring. Some of you did, and I'll admit that. I saw that in here a lot. A lot of you guys were all over freaking Lamar Miller, and I had an oopsie. I had a little oopsie. And I like to take accountability where accountability needs to be taken. And Miss Smitty's asleep, so I can't really ring this bell too loud. But oopsie time. This bell is so loud it goes through the whole house. It's the loudest bell for its size that I think you could find on Amazon. Do you think John Ross is going to be boomer bust type of player? He's a good flex play right now, but I don't know how long it will last. It could last the whole year. I don't know. He's playing great. Sonny Michel at the Jets or Montgomery at the Skins if Singletary can't go. I think you got to go. I want to say Monty so bad. Montgomery. I want to say Montgomery. I want to say it. I think you go Michel for right now. But Michel's a good running back for right now until he gets hurt. So long term, I would never want Michel over Montgomery. I would trade Michel for Montgomery. And I might be called a little bit crazy for that. But I would. Should I trade for Todd Curley? Says Nick. I'm sorry, Derek. Should I trade for Todd Curley? If he's related to Todd Gurley, the answer is no. And it depends on what you're giving up to get Gurley, but I say no. I say you should be trading away Gurley off of his high efficiency but low usage, because that's not going to happen. He's not going to continue to play at a high level with a low usage. Something's going to give. Hollywood Brown goes nuts against KC this weekend. He might. Mark, another super chat. Thank you, sir. I got offers for Kerryon for Fournette. I keep Kerryon. I don't like Fournette. I'm tempted to trade Kerryon Johnson high, but I'm not afraid to keep him either. Fournette, I feel like you got to get rid of him as best you can, fast as you can, for as much as you can, because he always feels like a ticking time bomb. He feels a little bit, I don't know, Carson, Fournette, Mixon, those are all guys I feel like you got to trade if you can get really decent value. So that's my thoughts on Kerryon. Montgomery is riding high week 3 against Washington. I know I want to say Montgomery over Michel. I'm tempted. Montgomery or Michel, be as honest as you can. Don't be biased, because we all love Montgomery. Who should he start? Who was it that asked that question? It was I forget who asked it, but definitely tell me what you guys think. Michel or Montgomery. I'd love to hear what you guys think as a group. This week lost by 1 point thanks to Adam Vinatieri. Damn it, Adam. Hazel says Monty. Mark Cleveland. I think I'd make the trade. Trade Kerryon for Fournette. Tough call. What's good trade value for Brady? Daryl wants to know. A Mark Andrews if you need a tight end in the Throne League, the league I created on Instagram where we let you guys, the followers, draft my team. We had over 600,000 followers involved in this draft. It's a single draft, 12 owners. All 12 owners were an expert site on, or an expert page on Instagram that I collected, and over 600 followers involved. You guys helped draft my team, and we scored the most points in week 1 by far. We had like 185 points. We had Mahomes, Kamara, Dalvin Cook, Sammy Watkins, Robert Woods, Josh Gordon, and then Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry obviously got hurt. And now Josh Gordon's value took a little bit of a dip. We lost Hunter Henry. Kamara obviously got a little bit of a blow to his production with Drew Brees leaving. But again, I addressed that earlier. This could be a good thing that they kickstart that run game again, rather than lean on the pass and continue to use Kamara inefficiently. But I think, I forget what the question was. Damn it. What was the question? What am I talking about? It was a player I had in the Throne League. Somebody remind me what I was talking about. I don't know. Should I trade for TJ Hawkinson? Depends on the price. Please take that Antonio magnet off the fridge Smitty, he's no good. This isn't a fridge. We'll figure out something fun to do with that. Expert, Tom Brady in the Throne League. That's what it was, Expert. Thank you. So we have, someone asked me what to trade, what was it, Tom Brady for. So we have Tom Brady in the Throne League, and Expert's in that league. He's one of the expert pages. And we're trying to trade with the Fantasy Couch, who just lost Breeze. He has literally like no good QB. And we have Tom Brady, and we also have Pat Mahomes. We also had Ben Roethlisberger. We lost Roethlisberger. So now Brady's our backup QB. I don't know that I really want to trade him anymore with Roethlisberger out for the year. But we're offering him really good offers. We offered him, I first said, hey, we want Kittle. And we give him something else maybe. So he gives us Kittle. We give him Tom Brady and maybe somebody like Duke Johnson, whatever. Or we propose it. And I let you guys decide whether we do it. You guys vote on it. But, he said no to that, like hell no to that, or his war room did. And then so I said, hey, well, what about Mark Andrews? Because they have Kittle. If you don't want to trade Kittle and you want to start Kittle, then trade us Mark Andrews for Tom Brady. Very fair deal, I think, but they're not doing it. They have no QB. So, Expert, I don't know what you think on that, but I think it's pretty crazy that... I got a buddy messaging me right now. I'm live right now. Join. So, what do you guys think of that? If we as a community traded Brady, who's our backup, we'd have to find a backup QB. Traded Brady for Mark Andrews. We lost Hunter Henry. That's a decent Tom Brady move. What do you think, Expert? Why isn't he doing that? Mark, thanks. I'll keep that in mind. Do you have info? Damn, these questions are going fast. I'm trying to click on it. Do you have info the rest of us don't? Kong. What's Kong saying? They must be confident in Kirk Cousins, says Expert. Maybe they are. Maybe they like their 10 efficient passes a game. They're not efficient, really. But maybe they like a guy that throws 5 or 10 times a game, Expert. It's true. I might trade Kittle and keep Mark Andrews at this point. That's what he says. Start AP over Freeman, Devonta Freeman. That's a tough one. I think that's a coin toss, man. You got to kind of stay on the news. I think let the news dictate what you do there. If there's talk about AB getting a ton of work, if there's talk about Freeman, then I think you make that call. YouTube.com/The Fantasy Football Show. You're my buddy and you don't know where to find my show? Just kidding, Matt. Tom Brady. AB gonna be suspended before it's said and done. Daddy, I've been saying that for a while. And it's like, one moment, AB is a top 5 wide receiver to everybody, including myself. I drink the AB juice, the Kool-Aid, every few minutes. And man, I get excited. But then the next moment, you hear news about a new accuser. You start worrying about whether this guy is going to be out of the league in 2 weeks. But then you see him play, and you're like, damn, Tom Brady's laser locked on this guy. And he could literally have a kung fu grip on top 5 wide receiver numbers. But if you can sell AB high, you've got to sell AB high. I think bottom line. No question about it. What's high? I think anything near the top 5 wide receivers. Could you get a Mike Thomas for AB? Could you give up AB and something smaller? Maybe one of these rookies that's popping off that you got completely free and you're playing with the house's money on one of these wide receivers, or even, I don't know, a QB that you picked up. Or honestly, I would trade to get Mike Thomas right now, or to get Mike Evans. I probably would trade AB in a heartbeat. No way he gets suspended this year, says Nestor. Well, Nestor, you could be right, but I'm not going to take that chance if I have an opportunity to sell AB high. Now, if you can't sell him high, then yeah, don't trade him. He's got too much upside to like trade him off for something that's not even close to amazing value. It's got to be something amazing. Traded AB and Freeman for Bell and Gallup last week. I like that move. I like that move a lot because I think Bell looks pretty good, and they're using Bell in rather efficient fashion. I didn't think that they would get him in a position to catch 10 passes in one game, but they did, even with their third string QB. So that's pretty damn good. I like Bell a lot. I think Bell is going to be at least a low end running back one. So you made a fantastic move trading laterally over for a safer Le'Veon Bell, using a very risky AB that we could have 3 or 4 more things pop up that potentially threaten AB's ability to play in week 4, 5, 6, 7, let alone this current situation threatening his really every week we walk into. Sell AB now. Agree there, Matty boy. Edelman is droppable, says Paul. I don't think so, but especially if something happens to AB, Edelman goes right back to the value he had, where all of you crazy mofos were drafting this guy in the 5th round. One of the most overdrafted players, Edelman, and I'm the one telling you don't drop him, but I didn't touch him at his ADP. I didn't touch Cooper Kupp. Super chat from Zibby boy. Do you think Mike Evans will have a comeback game? Yes, I do. Yes, I do, Zib. We've seen players struggle for a longer stretch than 2 weeks. If those either remember Aaron Rodgers, didn't he struggle for like 5 or 6 straight games? Was it last year or the year before, and then came back on a tear? And people were giving him away for candy. You could get him for a half a ham sandwich that year. I believe it was last year, or was it the year before. But literally went like 6 weeks or something like that without a big game. There have been plenty of players that have slumped for more than 2 games. 2 games is nothing in the NFL. This is not baseball where you use a stat and the stat like does not lie. This is a game where you play 16 weeks and literally 10 of them you could be the best player in the league, and the next six of them you could be nothing. So whether you struggle for 2 weeks or 4, that doesn't change your fate on a full 16 weeks. It can predict some things. It can make you, reactive in a good way or a bad way if a guy's struggling. CMC droppable. Paul, take a lap. I know you're joking. Should I trade TJ Hawkinson and Brandon Cooks for Eckler? That's a really good question. Eckler has an expiration date on him. Now, could Gordon come back and Eckler and him both just eat each other away? That didn't sound good. It could happen. That's how it could play out. They could just eat each other's production away. It still doesn't sound good, but it's possible. And something could happen to Gordon, but I'm pretty sure Gordon's coming back. And I don't like the thought of this anymore at all. I think I'm staying away from this situation, period, after all those comments. But Eckler has an expiration date, and I think it's time to potentially look to sell him high. Thinking about giving up on Njoku. You got a sleeper tight end for me? I'm worried about Njoku too. When you fall on your head and almost break your neck because Baker, your kids better not be listening. It's 11:22 Pacific time and 2:22 Eastern. This is not a family show anymore. This is the late night hours. Once we cross over midnight, the craziness comes out. What was the question? I'm sidetracked. 241 people in the room, only 119 thumbs up. Punch it. I don't know where I was at. Whatever, it doesn't even matter. Trade Eckler, I think is what I was saying. Eckler and Adams for Kamara. That's a tough one because I love Adams. And Eckler is playing like a top 10 running back right now. So that hurts you for the now. And especially we don't know what's up with Kamara, but I kind of like it and kind of don't. So it depends on the rest of your team. Drop Breeze have Newton and Winston on waivers. Drop all three. I don't know. Fantasy football season, kids have no rules. Well, I didn't say anything technically wrong. It just sounded wrong. Thoughts on Marquise Brown? I like Hollywood. I sell him high if you can. Mayfield tried to kill Njoku. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Baker, concussion maker. I mean, yeah, he literally tried to kill Njoku on national TV. I hope Njoku's okay. He landed right on his noggin. And he's like 260. Isn't he like 260 pounds? Yeah, I'm pissed that he got hurt too. I'm starting to worry that, not that there are too many mouths to feed, but just that, I don't know, maybe he gets going like mid-season. You have Melvin fly. Well, I like Melvin. Melvin's a good buy low, but he also could eat into the production, is what I was trying to say earlier, of Eckler. And Eckler could eat into the production of Melvin Gordon. We could see them both. Gotta be careful what I say in this topic. Do I move Zeke for a running back 2 and Mike Evans? Depends on that running back 2, man. It's a pretty vague question, Nestor. But you could cook up something that I'd probably Smitty approve, but right now, I don't know. Do I move Zeke for a running back 2 and Mike Evans? Keep in mind, my wide receiver 1 is Williams and my wide receiver 2 is Gordon. Yeah, it just depends, man. You got to throw a running back at me. Trade. Let's get into waiver wire in a second. Trade Aaron Rodgers for Lamar Jackson. I personally would rather have Aaron Rodgers, but I wouldn't blame anybody for going and getting Lamar. I'm buying into him more and more, but I'd rather have A-Rod probably by a big amount right now. Damian Williams, will he be okay? I don't know. We don't have that information yet. We know Connor's probably going to play, but expect him to be dinged up and potentially look at it being a higher risk to get hurt moving forward. He's playing hurt. An injury-prone guy in Connor is playing hurt. Jalen Samuels and Benny Snell, I'm telling you right now, giddy up. Giddy up and stash. Montgomery next week. I don't know what you mean there. All day. I'm sure you're talking about AB. Anyone else worried about Kirk Cousins? Of course we are. Kirk Cousins, who? I think the a lot of backup quarterbacks this week had more passing. How many passes did Cousins throw this week? Maybe he actually threw a lot. I think he threw 10 times in week 1. I might not be remembering correctly for week 2. He only completed 14, but he did throw 32. But he only threw 10 times in week 1. He had 2 interceptions, 1 TD, but he did throw it 32 times. That's good for Thielen. I thought it was around the 25 number. Let's check the news, and then we'll get into waiver wire. Chubb, 98 total yards and a TD. We talked about that. Le'Veon Bell, 31 times he touched the ball. Odell, dropping biscuits on Monday night. 6 for 161 and 1. Odell had a day. And Njoku landed on his head. Baker tried to kill him. Simeon's ankle went Gumby-like. We saw that. Luke Fall went into the game. Let's see what other headlines we have. So I'm telling you, Mason Rudolph, if you need QB, not a bad pickup. I don't know that your team's going to be real well off if you're starting him, but he's definitely a good backup to have. Okay, waiver wire time. Who do you guys like? Toss out your favorite waiver wire guys for week 3. Let me pull up my stuff that I have ready to go for week 3. Top waiver wire claims. I don't think this guy should not be available in your league. If so, you need to take a lap immediately, but then get excited because he's available. Kind of a combination of tough love and just not listening to the Jaylen Samuels stuff that I've been talking about all offseason. But Jaylen Samuels seems to be the number one guy talked about to pick up this week. Darwin Thompson was cut. I don't know why, but cut in a lot of leagues. He needs to be picked up. He could be looking at a potential start. Disley, Minshew, Mecole Hardman. These are all guys that you should be picking up as well. So good ones. Deebo Samuel, Frank Gore potentially. Let's hope Devin Singletary's good to go. Randall Cobb and Devin Smith. If Gallup is out, and I think he is out multiple weeks for sure now. Confirmed. Mostert could be the guy in San Fran, and he looked pretty good. They used him a ton. I think he had a TD call back too. Smitty, you were spot on about Deebo. I love Deebo. God, I think he looks like a Steve Smith meets Anquan Bolden, and then they have a baby. That's what Deebo reminds me of. Josh Allen. Winston seems to be on waivers in a ton of leagues. Brissett. Some people call him Brisket. He's available in many leagues. Packers D, for whatever reason, after a really good week 1, is available in a lot of leagues. Make sure. I don't think this is possible. I don't think people are this dumb. But if anybody dropped the Cowboys defense, who plays Miami next week, Matt earmuffs, but Miami is so awful. I'd start a backup Cowboys defense if there was one against this Miami Dolphins, even if the backup defense only got like 20% of the snaps. This defense allowed New England to score 40-plus points in week 2. They're so bad. Miami's so bad. So bad. Matt, you can take your earmuffs off now. If the Cowboys are there, grab them. In fact, if you want your streaming advice of the year, it's just follow the Dolphins. Start picking up defenses 2 and 3 weeks out with all your bench spots and line it up and get 20, 30, 40 points a week out of those defenses that play this awful Miami defense. I have $30 big for Dallas D. Someone dropped last week. Nice job. Frank Gore, Jaylen Samuels, and Darwin are all available. Who do I get? You got to go get Darwin this week. If it's leaning like he could be a starter this week, which is crazy. And this is why I get so frustrated. But it fuels me in a good way, too, when people come at me on my Darrell Henderson prediction already, saying, Smitty, admit you're wrong. Smitty, admit it, like they're getting me in a headlock, giving me a noogie. Smitty, admit you're wrong on Darrell Henderson. Come on, let's get over this. Let's move on. As if it's time to just give up on a player after 2 weeks when he's got 1 carry. It's not his fault. Am I wrong about that coaching staff being honest with in doing what they said, which was give Darrell Henderson 9 to 12 touches a game? Yeah, go 0-16, Matt, and yes, you will be drafting an amazing running back that will have no blocking. Maybe Miami does some things in the offseason and turns the franchise around quickly. It's possible. But I think if the Rams could do it, the Rams are a great franchise now. I think the Dolphins could easily, if they drafted one of those top 2 running backs, then you're going to be looking good. But Miami, I don't think Miami could win a game. There's no way. they might win a game on paper if like you get so many negative points it goes back into a positive number. Then the scoreboard could read that they're winning. They're so bad. They're so bad. I knew that they were going to be probably the worst team in the league, but they're awful. Who shouldn't? We should have traded. I think, how much percentage of free agency bidding? Say 140. Would you bid on Darwin Thompson if he's starting, and you can still pick up guys for free? Then if he's starting, you want to grab him probably with as much as you have to, and only you can know that because everybody's league history of bidding can tell that story for you. I can't. Every league's so different. There are some leagues that are very conservative, and if you have $100 all year, somebody might be like, yeah, I would spend at most like $40 out of $100 on a guy. Then I'm the wrong person to ask because in my league, I'll blow my entire load on one player. That's right. It's after midnight. I will spend every dollar I have to get a player that I believe in that can impact and win me a championship. And it's very possible that Darwin Thompson could be that guy, and it's very possible that news breaks later in the week that he's not even starting, that Damian's going to play, or McCoy's going to be fine. So it's a very risky proposition right now to be putting all your eggs in one basket with your waiver wire dollars. But if you believe in it and you think Darwin's going to start, and we just don't know. I could pull up the news right now, but it's going to be a very, very questionable answer, and we won't know for sure. And I got a super chat by Roman. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. Do you trade Connor for Bell? I do. Go get Bell. Go get Bell right now. If he feels safer. Anything can happen, Connor. Know that, but I go get Bell. That seems like a pretty darn good deal to me. 2:34 a.m. for me, says Jarrett. Well, you're a beast. I appreciate all of you that go to work tired, that actually sit up and do this show with me. 3 first-round picks and a second-round pick next year now. Oh, the Dolphins? Or 2 second-round picks. My bad. Go get Bell, Roman, and thank you for the super chat. Unfortunately, Darrell Williams might start if Damian and McCoy are out. It's possible, man. That's the other thing. We don't really know what's going to go on in that backfield. Darrell Williams with one L. Darrell Williams. Darrell Williams could potentially start and do really well. It's one of those situations. It's a great point, Big Timer, where we're all going, yeah, Darwin Thompson, and literally Darrell Williams goes nuts. And they trust him. So people are sleeping on Darrell Williams, and he could be the guy. So we need to wait for the news, I think. And unfortunately, that we got to put in bids now. Darwin Thompson. Let's see what the news is saying about little Darwin Thompson. All 5'8" of them. Okay, nothing under him. Let's take a look at McCoy. Will undergo an MRI Monday. We haven't heard back on that. Tweaked his ankle. Probably going to be okay, though, if I had to guess based on the news. So we might be looking at McCoy playing. Damian Williams, let's see what the news says on him. I don't know. I take the gamble that Darwin starts, or at least even if Darrell starts in, technically, I think Darwin has a big game if he's playing. If McCoy and Damian are out, I think Darwin's a fantastic flex play, even if he's not the starter in name. All right, let's get to the final topic, which is, where is my waiver wire? Oh, we already did everything. Waiver wire, right? I didn't switch my graphic over. We still got to talk about the waiver wire. We didn't finish. Jaylen Samuels. We pretty much named everybody that's like a big name waiver wire potential guy. Disley, we talked about Disley from Indianapolis. Or Seattle. I'm sorry, Seattle. Deion Kane. I was reading Deion Kane. I don't know about Deion Kane. Paris Campbell. I don't know that I'm necessarily buying yet. Preston Williams. Preston Williams for the Dolphins looks okay. He's definitely a good dynasty grab. Winston's playing the Giants, so he's available in a lot of leagues. If you need a QB and you lost Drew Brees. Josh Allen versus Cincinnati. I like that a lot. Josh Allen's for some reason on waivers in a ton of leagues. That's about it. That's about all she wrote on the waiver wire. McLaurin. Yeah, McLaurin's still there, but man, he should be picked up by now, right? But if you're seeing him available in a lot of leagues, he's worth grabbing. What did McLaurin do in week? McLaurin. Did I click on the wrong name? There I did. Whoops. Yeah, Winston's available in a lot of leagues, and I'm not saying he's a great player to start. I mean, I have questions about him, but he's available. Alexander Mattison or Jalen Samuels a better handcuff? Madison by far. Madison has almost standalone value right now. He's such a beast. If Cook went down, he would be a low-end running back one. Cook is a top-end, top-level, top 5 overall player, but Madison wouldn't drop out of the top 12 overall players if he was the lone starter and Cook went down. McLaurin, 5 of 9, 62 yards and 1 score. That's back-to-back weeks of him scoring touchdowns. He had 125 and 1 in week 1 against the Eagles. He had 62 and 1. Both games were 5-catch games. Pretty darn good start for this guy. I like McLaurin a lot. 6 foot, 210. 24 years old, out of Ohio State. If you didn't know, now you know. Bye week in week 10. Next game, Chicago at Washington. 9:23, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Drafted 3rd round in 2019 by the Redskins. That's everything you need to know about the guy. Number 17. Matt says, Miami just double checked. Miami now has 3 first-round picks. Their own, which is the gold pick. Texans and Steelers. Wow, Steelers pick. That could be a good one. Texans won't be a good pick, but that's freaking crazy. Good research, Matt. I like Mostert. I like Mostert too. I like Mostert. Super chat by Adventures. Thank you, Adventures. Did I miss another super chat? Just want to make sure. Adventure says Kamara for any combo of Fournette, Ingram, Breda, Freeman. I trade all of those if I have to for Kamara. So yes, any combination you like. Obviously, try and keep Ingram, but I don't care about Fournette. I don't care about Breda, and I don't care much about Devonta Freeman right now. I do like Ingram a lot, so if you can get rid of all of the other 3, I doubt you can. Go get Kamara. But if you have to throw Ingram in, throw it in, and I bet you can't even pull that off. But Adventures, do try, and if you are able to pull it off, please circle back and let us know that you completely blasted that owner and acquired Kamara. $243 in the room, 128 thumbs up. I appreciate every one of them. All right, so last topic, let's say, who do you guys believe is going to turn it on in the remaining 14 fantasy football weeks. So let me go ahead and gray this topic out. And we'll go ahead and talk about the final topic of the night, which is who's going to turn it on toward the end of the year or from this point on. Like guys that aren't really on everybody's radar for being as good as they're about to be. So, like, do you think... let me give you an example. So I think, again, trade for Tyreek Hill, trade for Deshaun Watson, trade for Aaron Rodgers, trade for Zeke Elliott, McCaffrey, Kamara, Chubb, because he didn't amaze this week, Montgomery, Aaron Jones, if he's cheap, trade for Mike Thomas, trade for Mike Evans on the cheap, trade away Antonio Brown if you can, trade him high, trade Adam Thielen, trade for Adam Thielen, trade for Tyreek Hill, and trade for George Kittle if you missed any of the buy lows or, I threw in a sell high there. Mixon, Dylan thinks, is going to turn it on down the stretch. A guy I don't think people see coming would be... I think Kittle is going to be... I think people don't realize Kittle had 2 TDs called back in week 1. If Kittle had those 2 TDs, we'd be talking about a very different player at a very different value. So I think Kittle is a guy to go attack right now via trade because I think people really are giving up on the fact that this guy could be Travis Kelce good for a big stretch of the season. And I think buying low is great. Great opportunity right now. I think Calvin Ridley is going to continue. I think people kind of know that's coming, but I think some people think he just did really well, and they don't think he's going to continue. But I think that in 1 year from today, we'll be talking a lot about Ridley like we were Juju. Go buy low on Juju as well. Crazy how people are jumping ship. I got a question today on my Ask Smitty, sleeperu.com membership feature that I have. If you don't have sleeperu.com, go get it. But a guy asked me today if he should bench Juju for, I think it was a good, player like a Hollywood Brown or something. A guy that, I think is a lock to be a wide receiver 3 for you. But he's like, should I bench Juju for, I think it was Hollywood Brown. And I'm just like, what? Have we really come to this? After 2 weeks of play, we're really ready to write Juju off. Even with Mason Rudolph there, they're going to feed him. Juju's a lot like Antonio Brown in that he's almost like QB proof because he's so good at getting open. It's not like he relies, like Amari Cooper struggled in Oakland because he's not the type of receiver that creates his own space and really makes a QB look good. He needs a QB that's really good to feed him the ball the right way, or he just vanishes. He doesn't do well. Look at how bad he was in Oakland and how good he is in Dallas. Juju and AB are very different because I think wherever they go, they're going to make their QB good, and their style of play, especially with today's NFL rules, the way these wide receivers can get open and create space for themselves. When you're as quick as Juju is, you're going to be able to produce no matter what. And Mason Rudolph is no slum. I think he could definitely feed Juju to the tune of wide receiver 5 to 7 numbers in 2019. So go buy him low. He's not really a guy that people don't see coming, but I think that people are giving up on him, and maybe people don't realize how good he's going to be down the stretch. So Juju qualifies as, I guess, one of those players. Montgomery, I still think people think David Montgomery's capped off at this sharing situation value all year long. Wait until David Montgomery gets unleashed. No update on Devin Singletary, Jake. I wish we had an update, but we don't. Doobie says Blake Jarwin, tight end for the Cowboys, late in season. I don't know if Witten holds up. Vance McDonald going to eat. Both great calls, Doobie. And I own. We lost Hunter Henry in the Throne League, and I picked up Jarwin. He didn't do real well this week, but I figured he had the best shot of a lot of the available tight ends to do well, and I agree. I think he will eat pretty good down the stretch. So I agree with that. I don't think people see the potential in Darrell Henderson, and I'm not just sticking to my guns on that. I think it's very, very early to be calling it on Darrell Henderson. Just wait. Things change so fast. Look at Darwin Thompson, third string, completely forgotten man, already cut. And there's a potential that he starts week 3. How quickly that stuff happens. Todd Gurley's very injury prone. Malcolm Brown's never done it before. Could he break down? Some say he's injury prone. Some say you can't even make that determination because he hasn't proved that he is injury prone yet. He hasn't been given a full shot yet. So I'd get that argument too. But there's a potential that Darrell Henderson is going to get a shot by even mid-season. And I never said that Darrell Henderson had to be lights out, full go, getting tons of carries heading into weeks 1 and 2. There was a good shot that it was heading in that direction when Gurley, a lot of question marks about Gurley until the final, half a month heading into the season. Should you accept AB for Fournette? AB and Fournette for Saquon? Absolutely. I go get... No, don't accept it. I mean, Saquon. Absolutely like Saquon more than AB and Fournette. Do not make that trade if you're sending them away. Saquon by a mile. I don't trust AB. I don't like Fournette. Ito Smith needs more looks. We'll see about that. I like Olsen better, but I think one of those two will probably end up starting games. Trade Saquon? No. Bro, give up on Henderson. No, Jason. No. I love how mad people get about that. I know you're probably not, Jason, but some people get so mad I can't expect him to maybe get a shot. Why? Jason, explain to me though. Why take an L on Henderson? He hasn't gotten a shot. And maybe he won't, and that will be my L. That will be my oopsie, Jason, for the year. That I predicted he'd get a shot and didn't get it. But when somebody says that Henderson is no good or that he looks like trash, how? He's gotten 1 carry. The only argument you have is that he won't see the field based on coaching. And then I will take the loss on that. You're right. But no one has a point whatsoever when their argument is that Henderson looks bad. It's like they aren't watching football when they say that. So give him a chance and realize this doesn't have to happen in week 1 or 2. He's a stash. The only reason everybody's ready to give up on him and tell me I should take a loss already in week 2, no offense, Jason, is because expectations were deflated. Everybody got so amped up, including me, but everybody got so amped up that Henderson was going to start week 1 or get massive workload in week 1. And because it didn't happen, their expectations are deflated. And now everybody's supposed to just what? Expect that Darrell Henderson's garbage now? Give him a chance. Wait till he gets 5 carries. He's the most explosive running back in college football history, given the stats of yards per carry, 20 and 40-plus yard runs, yards per carry average, yards per attempt, through the roof. No one even looks at that information when they look at Darrell Henderson. Start Mixon next week. Over Montgomery. If Mixon's playing, you drafted him. I wouldn't have drafted him high, but you drafted him in the top 18. After 2 weeks, you can't give up on him either. You made the commitment that you thought he was good, Jake, so I probably would stay with Mixon. But Montgomery eventually could make this a tough call for you and steal the job on your team from your Mixon. But odds are you can start mixing at your running back too. Daddy says Henderson is a beast. He is a beast. I love that people are dropping him. I'm scooping him up, and I'm gonna wait. And no, I'm not taking the loss. I don't have to admit shit. 2 weeks into the season, give up on him. Take the lot. Again, no offense to your specific comment, but I get it a lot. Take the loss. Oh, give up on it already. Give up on it already. It's 2 weeks in. It's 2 weeks in, Smitty. Let it go. Give up on it. Don't you know that 2 weeks in, we know Trade Hill for Eckler. I don't know that I do. It's like they're going to pass each other and be like, hi, I'm starting, now I'm playing. Like, if you can win now, Eckler might be the move for you. If you can hold off and still get wins, and then you get Tyreek Hill back. So it depends on the state of your team and the state of your league and the direction you're going. I don't think you can answer that question very easily. Nelson, thank you for the super chat, Nestor. Nelson Aguilar, number 1 waiver pickup? No, I don't think so. Not number 1, man. He's a decent grab. What did he finish with? Nelson Aguilar. 107 yards and a touchdown. What do you have in week 1? He only had 2 receptions for 11 yards in week 1. He did have the 8 receptions for 107 and 1. Very good pickup, I guess, but not number 1. And it depends on who's available, though. Nestor, you might have like no one available in your league because you have very deep rosters, deep benches, so depends. Probably you can get D. Robinson or D. Samuel. Those are your wide receiver claims in most leagues. I agree. I like Debo a little bit more, and Debo I own in a lot of leagues, and I sat on him. I didn't freak out. That's another example. Debo Samuel didn't do anything in week 1, and everybody just completely said, well, that prediction's bad because he's on my bold predictions. That prediction sucks, Smitty. That one's done. And then Debo goes nuts in week 2. Like, give guys a chance. Everyone on the Eagles was hurt Thursday night. How good is Chark? Chark's starting to become relevant. And you probably should own him in a larger league on your bench. Wait and see. You don't have to plug him into your wide receiver 3 spot yet. Next question. Should I trade T.Y. Hilton for Josh Gordon and Devin Singletary? If AB was like suspended, I would say yeah. With the current news and what we know, T.Y. Hilton feels like the best player in the deal. And that's coming from a guy that loves Devin Singletary, but he's hurt right now. We don't know where he's at. You got to play smart. And I think Hilton's the best player in the deal right now. And even if Devin Singletary rises up, and we hope he does, we hope he's playing like at a T.Y. Hilton scoring level. You're already there with T.Y. Why trade him? I keep T.Y. Thomas with the super chat. Thank you, Thomas. Metcalf in the flex next week. Depends on your option. So, Thomas, please post your guys on your team that you're deciding between, because I can't really give you a blanket yes or no. I need to know who you got. But flex worthy, he's probably worthy of that in general. Wentz won't last much longer. Yeah, dude, the odds of Jordan Reed not suffering a concussion like every single weekend feels like close to the same odds as Wentz being healthy all year. DD needs to take a lap. DD Westbrook needs to take a lap. So does Minshew for not throwing him the damn ball. DD's been a total bust. I wasn't super high on him heading into week 1, but, it's disappointing to see him not doing what he needs to be doing. Damn DD. Rodgers playing Bears, Vikings, week 15 to 16 during most fantasy championships. Should we care? We saw what happened. Oh, I'm getting tired. We saw what happened against the Bears already, but I don't think you trade him away, and I think that he's got the potential of throwing for 190 and 3 TDs in that kind of game. The Bears also got worked by Denver in week 2, so I don't know that they're that invincible. I think they got the better of Rodgers, but they couldn't get the better of Flacco. That tells me that they have holes and weaknesses, and who knows who's hurt by that time too. On the defensive side of the ball. Don't be worrying too much about that. It's something to consider when all things are equal. Like if you're drafting Watson and Aaron Rodgers, or if someone offered you Watson, you might consider that. But you don't worry about that if you're talking about like a total different tier. Got offered Michael Thomas for Todd Gurley. Take Michael Thomas and run. Why don't I get trade offers like that? I love Montgomery, but yes, absolutely make that trade. What are you talking about? Let me try and find that. I'm interested in that one. Montgomery, where's Montgomery? Post that question down below, Mark. I want to know what you're talking about. Porter, I have Julio, Mike Thomas, Derrick Henry, Damian Williams, Singletary, Ertz, and Godwin. What should I give up for Calvin Cook? Don't give up anything for Calvin Cook, but for Dalvin, I don't think you're gonna get him, man. It's too late. You should have drafted him, and maybe he wasn't available at one of your picks. But trading for him is just gonna decimate your team. No one's gonna trade him. You have to be batshit crazy to trade Dalvin Cook right now for anything less than someone's entire team, and they'd have to have a pretty good team. I mean, Julio, he's not going to give them to you for Julio. You're not going to get what you should get out of Mike Thomas. Derrick Henry's good, but he's still not trading you Dalvin Cook. Like, he literally I don't even know if he'd take Godwin and Derrick Henry, you know? Like, you'd have to literally overpay to an extreme degree in order to get Dalvin Cook. No one's going to give him up. He's like the number one running back right now through 2 weeks in a lot of scoring formats. Should I trade Fournette and Cooks for Amari, Larry, DK? Fournette, Cooks, Amari, Larry, DK. I don't know, man. That's like one of those trades that like makes everybody's team worse. Clan, I'm sorry. I just don't know. And my brain hurts. And it's late. Some of you are like, it's like 3 a.m. What are you doing? What are you doing up? Super chat by Porter. Boom. How much should I give up for Dalvin Cook? I just don't think it's worth it, man. I just don't think it's worth it. But you could try Henry and Godwin. You could try that. I just don't know that it's worth it, man. Name your team, Porter? Did you have the same team? That's the same team that I read, right? It's smart to start Brady when my opponent is going with AB and Gordon, correct? Yeah, Danny, that could be okay, but who are you sitting? Like, you can't sit like a Mahomes or a Watson. So it kind of depends. I like both Godwin and Evans about equal this week. The matchup is great, but next week I look to trade whichever Bucs wide receiver has a great game. I keep Evans. I don't sell Evans low. Jarrett says, I'm watching the GOAT 3 a.m. club. Attaboy. Bot says, at work. Nice. You don't have to give out any details, but what type of work is it? It's pretty cool. You get to watch fantasy shows while you're at work. It's a damn cool job you got. My other QB is Matt Ryan. I don't even know what your question you asked above. The trade was David Montgomery and Rodgers for Julio and Matt Ryan. I keep Rodgers and Montgomery, but that's me. Eckler for Lamar and Hollywood Brown. Have Kamara and Carson at running back. Eckler for Lamar and Brown. I probably, if you need a QB, I mean, it makes sense, but I think it depends on who your backup QB is or who you could pick up off waivers right now. Look up newest news on AB. Do we have new news on AB? Tell me it's not something new. Brown Antonio Brown. Are we breaking new news on AB? Oh, God. Antonio Brown. This should be good. Antonio Brown's lawyer, Darren, released a statement Monday afternoon that denied AB had engaged in misconduct allegations. Antonio Brown has reviewed the misconduct allegations made by the unnamed artist included in the recently published Sports Illustrated article and denies that he ever engaged in such activities. There will be no further comment at this time. The NFL is reportedly scheduled to meet with both Brown and the original accuser at some point this week. So he's facing that second accuser. Is that the news you wanted me to read? Antonio Brown. What's next, man? What's next with Antonio Brown? Even if he escapes this, which I don't know that he will, even if he escapes this situation, what's next? We don't even know how much of what went on in Oakland was an act or how much of it was him being a head case. A lot of us like to think that he plotted this whole thing out, and now that he goes to New England, he's going to be on his best behavior. The hoodie ain't going to put up with anything. So, I don't know. I don't know what Antonio Brown really is in there. What's going on in his head? What version of this guy really exists, and which part of it was a show? But my guess and my gut feeling is this guy's not going to play all year long. It's so hard to imagine him playing like a big string of games for whatever reason. In my mind, I struggle with that vision. But anything's possible. Don't trade him low, but consider trading him high laterally. If you trade him lateral, like a lateral type move for a player that has near as much upside but that's safer, why not do it? Frank Gore on my waiver. Worth a pickup? Potentially. Depends who you got to drop. That video where he was pretending to fly was weird. Yeah, it was kind of weird. Drop Pettis for Hyde, potentially, if you need a running back. Should I trade Hawkinson for Gurley if I'm in need of a running back too? I probably would do that because you could then potentially trade Gurley for more or, probably pick up. You could probably trade for Malcolm Brown pretty cheap, and then I'm sure Henderson will be on waivers soon at this rate with people jumping ship so early. AB isn't going to last the year, says Bot. I agree. As much as I hate it, what's next? 1,400. What's next is 1,415 TDs, says MT. You could be right, dude. You could be right. AB, I asked him what's next with AB. What's going to happen next? He says, what's next is 1,400 yards and 15 TDs. That could be the case, man. He's certainly talented enough, and this offense is like the fountain of youth for the guy. And if he's on the field for 16 games, playing as many snaps as we think he's going to get moving forward, you're talking about easily a 1,400-yard, 15 TD receiver. So, I don't know. In one league, maybe don't trade him. If you own this guy in like 3 leagues, and we all play in like 25,000 leagues now, if you own this guy in one league, maybe you don't sell and you keep him in one league just in case he ends up doing what he's capable of doing if he stays in the field. But if you had him like in 2 or 3 leagues, I'd lay off that bet and go trade him for a much safer option. Thomas with a super chat. Thank you, sir. DK, Penny, Samuel, Sanders, or Sutton at flex. Is that Debo Samuel? If it's Debo and not Jalen Samuel, sometimes people list it different. I'm going to go with... Sutton as the safe play, Debo as the high risk, high upside. I don't think that there's an answer here that I feel completely comfortable saying this is the pick. I think it comes down to pick your poison. Do you want safe? Then go with Courtland Sutton, who still has a decent grip of upside, but Debo has that, I think, bigger upside, more of a risk of not delivering. So that's how I'd go with that. What's the next for AB? Hostage situation. Oh, jeez. Don't buy AB, but sell him either. Don't sell him either. You're stuck with him. You might be. Mark says, which Samuel, which Sanders? True. True. You could be talking about Emmanuel Sanders. I was thinking Miles Sanders because I thought it was a flex. I'm going to be Antonio Brown for Halloween this year. I haven't even thought about that. That's hilarious, man. I will wear a PB-sized football helmet and burned-looking feet. That's going to be a great costume, buffoon. I didn't even think about Halloween with AB. Maybe I need to buy those feet and just put my feet up on the desk here. Burnt feet. Right here, I could have my feet like this, crossed. Burnt feet. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go find feet. Burnt Antonio Brown feet. Just kick my feet up, little slippers. Burnt feet slippers. They got to be selling those. They've got to be. That's a great idea. Fantastic, buffoon. AB is the next OJ. Trade David Johnson and Hollywood Brown for Josh Jacobs and John Ross. I keep David Johnson, but it's arguable. Any chance Brown gets put on exempt list this week? Probably only if there's a criminal charge brought up or that the police start to look into it. So I've explained this a couple of times, but I don't mind explaining it again. But if the commissioner exempt list is usually reserved for criminal charges or whatever, and everybody thinks that that means that since this is a civil case, that can't happen. But that's not true. If someone claims something and the police then hear about it, which they have, they're going to look into it. And if they look into it and feel like there's legitimate concern, they will then move on to interview. And then they will move on to either say, nope, we're not opening a case, or we are. That's all it takes. So if they say, we're going to look into it, it's at least feasible enough. The accusations they warrant some looking into. Then all of a sudden an open case, whether they're going to close it. Remember Tyreek Hill had a case open and closed pretty quickly? Just opening the case will probably trigger the NFL to put him immediately on the commissioner exempt list, but he could then be taken off quickly too if they closed the case and it wrapped up. So it could go 100 different directions, but even if he escapes it, like I said, AB still feels very risky for something else happening. So I don't know that I get completely, we're out of the woods type thinking going on. If I'm an AB owner, don't think you're out of the woods. You're not out of the woods. Thomas, let me see if Thomas answered the question. Received a trade offer. God, I can't talk. So late I can't speak. Give up Fournette and receive Aaron Rodgers, Allen Robinson, and Devin Singletary. So give up Fournette, receive Aaron Rodgers, Allen Robinson. Nailed it. Pull that trigger. Go get Aaron Rodgers, Allen Robinson, and Devin Singletary, giving up Fournette. Absolutely. Is that a fake picture, Daryl? That looks like a movie star pose. Appreciate it. Appreciate the question. Mark says, Thomas, I would flex Curtis Samuel. Oh, Curtis Samuel. Yeah, you're right. He needed to clarify who all these players were because he just said last name. If it's Curtis Samuel and not Debo, I'm probably more interested in Curtis Samuel. So I would agree with Mark here. Doobie Snacks says 257 on this hour. Impressed. Yeah, I'm impressed with you guys too. Your stamina is amazing. I'm like falling asleep. and I'm Pacific time. Some of you guys are Eastern. Eastern mofos are on here at like 3:12 a.m. Damn. Nope, pro wrestler. So I don't know what you guys think of this idea. I've been getting a lot of messages that I look like Big Cass lately. And I don't know if that's, I looked at him and he looks like a cousin. But I was thinking it would be fun to hit the streets as Big Cass. So Daryl, since you obviously are a wrestling fan, if I dress up as Big Cass and I walk the streets, get some kind of little buddy, entourage going with my buddies, and maybe walk through, maybe find out when there's a wrestling event coming up, but just see if we can how long we can get away with it, and see what we can like get at an event, how far we can get into an event. Somebody did that with Clay Thompson, a Clay Thompson lookalike guy here on YouTube did it, but it would be pretty funny. Expert, you're still up. It'd be pretty funny to see how far I could get into like a wrestling event. If they go downtown Phoenix at the convention center, if they do some kind of wrestling thing. You look like Big Cass though. How's Enzo doing, by the way? Enzo? Who's Enzo? That might be like a wrestling joke. I don't watch wrestling, but I think I'm going to do that. So if you guys have ideas, throw my way the ideas, and we'll kind of cook up something. But I don't know if anybody knows if a wrestling event of any kind is happening here in Phoenix anytime soon, but that would be fun. I think Big Cass, that's it. You're just not 7 foot tall. Is he 7 foot tall? Damn it! I could get like lifts in my shoe. I'm answering. Yeah, I'm still 2. Oh, I gotcha. Cool, expert. So if I put Enzo's Big Cass's partner, okay. Dude, you must you're a big wrestling fan then if you know all that, expert. But maybe I'll put lifts in my shoes. How tall are so I'm 6'2", so I should be able to, if I put like some lifts in my shoe, I should be able to get away with it, I think. Cuz I think if you're like 6'5", 6'6", people could maybe think you're near that height. Big Cass is listed at 7 foot. My pick is a pro wrestler named Dalton Castle. Dalton Castle. Yeah. So if I'm like 6'6" with shoes, because I'm 6'2", I bet you I bet you I'd trick some people. I don't think people would be like, okay, you're exactly 6'6". I could. Expert says he's been watching me on the WWE since. You've been watching me in the WWE then, because that's where I'm at. Big Cass. We'll see if I can get away with it. Send me some ideas if you guys got any. Randall Cobb at Flex versus Miami. If he's starting, which it sounds like he probably will be, or at least getting some good touches, I'd probably go Cobb, depending on your options. Trade Lockett. Who should you target? Oh, God, that's such a vague question, Austin. But Lockett. Let me pull up rankings for you. Let's try and figure this out. Lockett. So Lockett's ranked right around like Golladay, Boyd. So if you don't want to go straight wide receiver for wide receiver, I mean, would it be crazy? Is it crazy to ask for, or is it crazy to give up Lockett for like a Melvin Gordon if you were like stacked at wide receiver? Little Cass. Yeah, that could be Little Cass's son. Or brother. That might be. Who knows if I'm older than him? I don't know how old the guy is. He's retired. Oh, God, I'm tired. I'm going to retire. Comfortable starting Royce Freeman in PPR versus the Packers? Not really. Godwin or Evans rest of the season. I'm not ranking. I like Godwin a lot. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not ranking. I like Godwin a lot, but I'm not ranking Godwin over Evans. I'm just not. I'm not there after 2 weeks. This is a tough one. Flex Sony Michel or Ridley. I think I had that question last week, and I was like torn. I might have even said in one league I go Michel, in one league I go Ridley if you had like the same situation going on. But Ridley looks good, dude. I think I go Ridley in a PPR. Also, should I trade Fournette and Andrews for Chubb? You have Waller. I might, and I know that a lot of people might not like that answer because Chubb hasn't like exactly gone crazy, but I do not trust Fournette, and so that's a move. You're playing with the house's money, given that you probably picked up Waller or Andrews. I doubt you drafted both, Austin, but you could have been that good. But you're probably either way you're playing with the house's money in a sense that you have one of those tight ends that kind of rose up. And dude, I don't like Fournette at all, so I make that trade. But that's me. Boyd or Golladay, wide receiver 2. I go Golladay for now, but I like both. I find a way to play both. How's that? Neither, both. Dylan. Ridley by a mile, says Paul. Attaboy. Paul, I'm putting your message on screen because you sound smart. Flex Godwin or Montgomery? Probably Godwin right now. Even in 0.5 PPR, Godwin feels a little safer, but get ready. Montgomery's going to make this a tough call for you on a weekly basis. John Brown or Mostert? John Brown for now. It depends. If you need a running back, I mean Mostert, but if like you don't really care positionally, John Brown. Damian, start or sit week 3. Damian Williams might not be playing week 3, so you might have that decided for you. Should I trade Larry Fitzgerald for Kyler Murray? Should you trade Larry Fitzgerald and Kyler Murray for Marquise Brown and Carlos Hyde? Depends on if you need a QB. If you trade them away, I assume you don't. So Fitz is probably as good as Hollywood Brown, though, man. So I don't know that trade helps anybody, to be frank. Xavier. Trade or keep TJ Hawkinson. My starting tight end is Ingram. It depends what you can get, my friend. I can't really give you a blanket answer on that one. Mixon. All right, guys. Please, I'm going to call it for the night. Please subscribe, follow, and every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. 10 p.m. Eastern. 10 p.m. Eastern, I broadcast and stream live my CBS Sports full-hour CBS Sports spot on CBS Sports Radio, 1580 a.m., The Fanatic. So every Wednesday, please hit subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell notification so that you're alerted when I go live and you don't miss out on this live hour that I do on CBS Sports Radio every single week at 10 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. Join me on Wednesday. It's going to be a fantastic show, but I go live all the time, so you really need to hit that bell icon anyway so you know to join us here like this. Hit the thumbs up on the way out. When this video ends up processing, all the chat comments will be there, but it'll start off with 0 comments, so it's your chance to ask me a question, and I'm definitely, I think, the most interactive show on YouTube and Instagram because I definitely try and reply to all of you. Especially in the comments, the DMs get out of control. But in the comments, I try and reply to all of you. So that's your chance to ask me a question because it'll start off with 0 comments as soon as it posts on YouTube here in a second once it processes. So thank you for joining me. Get ready for week 3. And don't forget to watch me Wednesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on youtube.com/thefantasyfootballshow. 1 hour live. Every Wednesday, CBS Sports Radio. Thank you. I appreciate all of you.